The morning sun shone bright over the crystal gardens of New Seoul. 8-year-old Park Hana ran between the tall, glowing plants that grew nowhere else in the galaxy. The crystals sang soft music when the wind touched them. Hana loved that sound, more than anything. Her father, Park Tae-ho, watched from their house window as his daughter played. He was an engineer who helped make the planet safe for humans to live on. The work was hard, but seeing Hana happy made everything worth it. "She will be late for school again," said Lee Nari, Hana's mother. Nari studied the strange plants that grew on their new world. She was always busy, but never too busy for her daughter. "Let her play a little more," Tae-ho said. "The crystals will not sing forever." Tae-ho did not know how right he was. The first ships appeared in the sky just after noon. They were huge and black, with sharp edges that cut through the blue sky like knives. The people of New Seoul had never seen ships like these before. Kim Woo-bin, who ran the colony, got the first message from the strange ships. He was a calm man who had dealt with many problems before, but this message made his hands shake. "People of this world," the voice said in perfect human language, "you will leave this planet in 7 days. This world now belongs to the Velthron Empire. Any who remain will be removed by force." Woo-bin called together all the colony leaders. They met in the town hall while the black ships hung in the sky like storm clouds. "We have legal rights to this world," said Dr. Shin De-jin, the colony's lawyer. "The Galactic Council gave us permission to settle here. These Velthrons cannot just take our home." "They seem to think they can," Woo-bin said. He looked tired and worried. "I have sent a message asking to speak with them. We are peaceful people. Surely we can work this out." The answer came 3 hours later. A small ship landed in the colony's main square. Out stepped creatures that looked like tall, thin humans, but with gray skin and 4 arms. Their leader wore a uniform covered in strange symbols. "I am Admiral Vex Thul of the Velthron Empire," he said. His voice was cold and proud. "I have come to accept your surrender." Woo-bin stepped forward. He kept his voice calm and polite. "Admiral, we welcome you to our world, but we cannot leave. This is our home. We have children here, families, lives we have built. Surely the great Velthron Empire can find another world." Vexthul's 4 eyes stared at Woo-bin with disgust. "You dare to refuse the Empire? We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years while your species was still learning to make fire. This world has value to us. You do not." "We ask only for a fair hearing," Woo-bin said. "Let the Galactic Council decide. We will accept their judgment." For a moment, Vexthul said nothing. Then he laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "The Council? You think the Council matters? You are nothing but insects who learn to speak. I will show you what happens to insects who annoy the Empire." The Admiral turned and walked back to his ship. As it lifted off, Woo-bin felt a chill in his heart. He ordered all colonists to prepare for evacuation just in case. But the Velthrons did not wait 7 days. They attacked at sunset, when families were having dinner together. The black ships opened fire on the colony's main buildings. Laser beams turned homes into burning ruins in seconds. Tae-ho grabbed Nari's hand as explosions shook their house. "The emergency shelters!" he shouted over the noise. "We have to get to the shelters." They ran toward the underground bunkers built for emergencies like this. All around them, other families were doing the same. The colony's warning sirens screamed as more laser fire fell from the sky. "Where is Hana?" Nari suddenly stopped running. "Tae-ho, where is our daughter?" Tae-ho's blood turned cold. In the panic, he had forgotten. The Crystal Gardens. She was playing in the Crystal Gardens. The gardens were on the other side of town, near the main government buildings. The buildings that the alien ships were attacking most heavily. "I will get her," Tae-ho said. "Get to the shelter. I will bring her back." But before he could run toward the gardens, a massive explosion lit up the sky. The government district disappeared in a ball of fire and light. The shockwave knocked Tahoe to the ground and shattered windows all across the colony. When the light faded, where the crystal gardens had been, there was only smoke and burning ground. Nari screamed her daughter's name, but no answer came back. The attack lasted only 10 minutes. When it was over, most of the colony still stood. The Velthrons had been precise, destroying only the government buildings and a few other targets. It was meant to be a warning, a show of power, but in those 10 minutes, they had made the worst mistake in galactic history. Rescue teams found Hana's body 2 hours later. She was still holding a crystal flower she had picked for her mother. The flower was broken, but it still sang softly in the wind. Taiho held his daughter's small, still form and wept. Nari could not stop screaming. Other colonists gathered around, their own faces wet with tears. Even those who had not known Hana personally felt something break inside them. The colony's emergency beacon sent out a distress signal to all human worlds. The message included video of the attack and pictures of what the Velthrons had done. It showed Hana's body and her grieving parents and the destroyed crystal gardens where she had played that morning. The message reached Earth in 6 hours. It reached the human colonies in 12. Within a day, every human in the galaxy had seen it. On Mars, General Yoon Minho sat in his office and watched the video for the 10th time. Each time, his face grew harder and his eyes grew colder. He was a soldier who had fought in 3 wars and seen terrible things, but nothing had prepared him for this. His aide, Captain Park Minji, stood beside him. She was young and had never seen real combat. Tears ran down her face as she watched her people suffering. "Sir," she said quietly, "what are your orders?" General Yoon stood up slowly. He looked out the window at the red planet where humans had built their first colony beyond Earth. He thought about all the worlds where human children played and laughed and dreamed of the future. "Send a message to Earth Command," he said. His voice was quiet, but Captain Minji heard death in it. "Tell them to wake up the fleet, all of it." "Sir, which ships do you mean?" General Yoon turned to look at her. Captain Minji stepped back from what she saw in his eyes. "All of them," he said again. "Every ship, every weapon, everything we have been keeping secret. The Velthrons want to see what humans are capable of when we stop being polite." He looked back at the video screen where Hana's father held his dead daughter. "They killed a child," General Yoon said. "They are about to learn why that was a very, very bad idea." The news traveled fast. Too fast. Within hours, every human world knew about Hana. They saw the videos of her small body being pulled from the rubble. They heard her mother's screams and saw her father's tears. They watched the crystal gardens burn on Earth. President Choi So-min sat in her office and stared at the reports flooding in. Messages came from every human colony, every space station, every ship in the void between stars, all saying the same thing. The people wanted blood. "Ma'am," said her assistant, bringing another stack of papers. "The calls keep coming. Colony, governors, military commanders, even civilians. They all want to know what we are going to do." President Choi had been leader of Earth for 8 years. She had dealt with wars, disasters, and political crises. But she had never felt anger like this. It was not just her anger. It was the rage of 10 billion humans who had seen one of their children murdered. "Call an emergency meeting," she said. "All department heads, all military commanders, everyone." "When should I schedule it, ma'am?" "Now." The meeting room filled. Quickly. Around the table sat the most powerful people in human space. Admiral Song Hyuk of the Solar Navy, General Yoon Minho from Mars Command, Dr. Kang Ji-hoon, head of weapons research, Intelligence Director Bae Sua, and dozens of others. President Choi stood at the head of the table. She did not need to ask for quiet. The room was already silent as a tomb. "You have all seen the reports from New Seoul," she said. A little girl is dead. Her name was Park Hana. She was 8 years old. She liked to play in crystal gardens and pick flowers for her. Mother. She paused and looked around the room. Every face showed the same expression. Controlled fury. The Vielthrans think they have made their point, she continued. They think they have shown us our place. They expect us to file a complaint with the Galactic Council. They expect us to pay them money and apologize for bothering them. Admiral Song Hyok leaned forward. He was an old man who had spent his life keeping peace in human space. What are your orders, Madam President? President Choi smiled. It was not a nice smile. Gentlemen, ladies, for too long, we have let the galaxy think we are weak. We have hidden our true strength to avoid frightening other species. We have been patient and polite and peaceful. She pressed a button on the table. The room's screens lit up with classified information, ship designs, weapon specifications, technology that was supposed to be secret. Dr. Kang, she said, how long have your people been working on the molecular disassembly project? Dr. Kang Ji-hoon was a thin, quiet man who rarely spoke in meetings. When he did speak, people listened. He was the smartest human alive, and possibly the most dangerous. 15 years, Madam President. We stopped the project 3 years ago. The weapons were too powerful, too destructive. And if I ordered you to restart it, how long would you need? Dr. Kang was quiet for a moment. 6 months to build the first prototypes, 1 year for full production. You have unlimited funding. Use whatever you need. Ma'am, said Dr. Kim Yeona, head of communications research. My quantum communication project was also classified as too dangerous. Are you authorizing that as well? All projects, President Choi said. Everything we have been keeping locked away. Every weapon too terrible to use. Every technology too frightening to deploy. Open all the vaults. General Yoon Minho stood up. Madam President, are you declaring war on the Velthron Empire? No. General, war is what happens between equals. This will be an execution. The room erupted in quiet conversations. Plans began forming. Orders were given. For the first time in human history, Earth was preparing for total war. Director Bae Suha raised her hand. Ma'am, intelligence suggests the Velthron Empire controls over 2,000 star systems. Their military is massive. Even with our hidden ships, we would be outnumbered 50-1. President Choi nodded. Numbers mean nothing when your enemy does not know you are coming. Admiral Song, how many ships can we deploy without the galaxy noticing? Admiral Song Hyok smiled grimly. That depends on how creative we want to be. Our merchant vessels can be converted. Our mining ships carry weapons. Our exploration craft are actually scouts. If we use everything, including the Black Fleet, ships so secret that most people in the room had never heard of them, vessels built in hidden shipyards for wars that might never come. All of them, President Choi said. Hold nothing back. Dr. Kang spoke up again. Madam President, I must ask, are we targeting military installations only? Or everything, she said quietly. Every ship, every base, every weapon they have. The Vielthrons wanted to make an example of us. We will return the favor. The meeting continued for 6 hours. Plans were made. Resources were allocated. Messages were sent to every human world with the same simple instruction: prepare for war. But this was not like other wars. There would be no declarations, no warnings, no chance for surrender. On the colony world of New Busan, Captain Lee Dong-yun received orders to report to Earth immediately. His merchant ship was needed for special cargo. When he arrived at Luna shipyards, he found his vessel being fitted with weapons he had never seen before. What is this? He asked the technician, installing a strange device on his ship's hull. Molecular disassembler, the woman said. Point it at something and pull the trigger. Whatever you are pointing at stops existing. Captain Lee stared at the weapon. How is that possible? Dr. Kang's people figured out how to make matter, forget how to stick together. Apparently, they have been working on it for years. On Mars, Captain Park Minji found herself promoted to Major and given command of a new unit, Special Operations Division 7. Their mission was classified so highly that even she did not know what it was until she arrived at the briefing room. "You will be infiltrating Vielthran space," General Yoon told her. "Your job is to gather intelligence on their fleet positions and defensive capabilities." "Sir, how are we supposed to get into their territory without being detected?" General Yoon handed her a data pad. "Your ships have technology that makes them invisible to sensors. Your weapons can destroy targets from light years away. Your suits can keep you alive in any environment." Major Park looked at the specifications. The technology was decades ahead of anything she had seen. "Sir, how long have we had this equipment?" "Long enough," the general said. "We have been preparing for this day since humans first reached the stars. We just hoped it would never come." Across human space, similar scenes played out. Colonists who thought they were farmers learned they were also trained soldiers. Merchant. Ships revealed hidden weapon systems. Mining stations activated defensive systems that could destroy entire fleets. The galaxy had always seen humans as peaceful traders and skilled engineers. They were not wrong, but they were not right either. Humans were whatever they needed to be. On Earth, President Choi received a message from the Vielthran Empire. Admiral Vexthul wanted to discuss terms for human compliance with imperial decrees. She deleted the message without reading it. Instead, she recorded a message of her own. It was broadcast to every human world, every human ship, every human outpost in the galaxy. "My fellow humans," she said, "today, one of our children was murdered by aliens who think we are weak. They think we are afraid. They think we will bow down and accept their judgment." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "They are wrong. We are not weak. We are not afraid. And we will never bow down to anyone who harms our children." The message was short, but its meaning was clear. War was coming. On the destroyed colony of New Sol, Park Tae-ho held his daughter's crystal flower and watched the stars. Somewhere up there, ships were moving in the darkness. Weapons were being prepared. Plans were being made. The Valthrans had killed his little girl to make a point. Soon they would learn what point humanity intended to make in return. The crystal flower sang softly in the night wind. It was broken, but it still remembered how to make music, like the humans who would soon remember how to make war. 6 months had passed since Hana died. The galaxy was starting to notice strange things. Human trade ships still moved between the stars, but their cargo manifests looked different. Instead of carrying farming equipment and consumer goods, they transported industrial machinery and mining supplies. The Galactic Trade Commission did not think much of it. Humans were always building something. What they did not know was that the mining supplies were actually weapons components. The industrial machinery was military equipment. Every human ship had become part of the largest military operation in galactic history. Captain Bae Suha sat in her command chair aboard the stealth ship Silent Wind. Her vessel was invisible to sensors, hidden in the outer system of the Valthran capital world. For 3 months, she had been watching and learning. "Captain," said her intelligence officer, Lieutenant An Taejin, "long-range sensors show another Imperial fleet moving through the Kelvar system. That makes 17 battle groups we have identified this week." Bae Suha nodded and made notes on her data pad. The Valthran Empire was huge. They controlled over 2,000 star systems and commanded fleets that could darken the sky of any world. Their military was larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen, but size was not everything. "Any word from the infiltration teams?" she asked. Team 3 successfully planted monitoring devices on the Imperial shipyards at Vex Prime. Team 7. has infiltrated the communication networks at Zentari Command. We now have access to their military communications in 47 systems. Captain Bay smiled grimly. The Vilthrons were powerful, but they were also arrogant. They never imagined that humans could move unseen through their territory. Their security was designed to stop obvious threats, not invisible ghosts. "Send a message to Earth Command," she said. "Tell them we have what we need." Light years away, on Earth, Dr. Kang Ji-hoon stood in his laboratory and watched history being made. The first production model of his molecular disassembler was being tested on a decommissioned space station. "Initiating test sequence," said his assistant, Dr. Kim Yeona. She had been working on quantum communication systems, but had volunteered to help with weapons testing. Like all humans, she wanted to be part of what was coming. The weapon fired. There was no flash of light, no explosion, no dramatic effects. The space station simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, a massive structure of metal and composites. The next moment there was only empty space and a cloud of component atoms. "Disassembly complete," Dr. Kim reported. "Target neutralized in 4.7 seconds. No debris, no radiation, no trace that it ever existed." Dr. Kang nodded and made notes. "How many units can we produce per month?" "With the new factories coming online, 2,000 per month by next quarter, 5,000 per month by year's end." It was not enough. The Vilthron Empire had millions of ships, but Dr. Kang had other ideas. "What about the delivery system?" he asked. Dr. Kim's eyes lit up. "Quantum entanglement pairs. We can place the weapons anywhere in the galaxy instantaneously. Distance becomes irrelevant. How many targets can we hit simultaneously? With the current network, about 10,000 targets. But we are expanding the system daily." Dr. Kang smiled. For the first time in months, he looked genuinely happy. "The Vilthrons think space protects them. They think their size gives them safety. They are about to learn that humans do not think the way other species do." In orbit around Mars, Fleet Admiral Ryu Dongwook reviewed the final plans for Operation Hana's Light. The name had been chosen by popular vote among human military personnel. Every soldier, every pilot, every officer had wanted to be part of naming their revenge. "Admiral," said his aide, Commander OG-1. "Final fleet positions confirmed. We have 10,147 vessels in position across 47 systems. All ships report ready status." Admiral Ryu looked at the tactical display. Red dots marked Velthran military installations. Blue dots marked human ships, hidden in asteroid fields, nebulae, and sensor shadows. The humans were outnumbered, but they had advantages the Velthrans could not imagine. "Stealth systems operational on all vessels?" he asked. "Yes, sir. The Vilthrans have no idea we are there." "Weapon systems?" "All ships armed with molecular disassemblers. Support vessels carry quantum communication arrays for coordinated strikes." Admiral Ryu nodded. The plan was simple in concept, devastating in execution. At exactly the same moment, every major Vilthron military installation in the galaxy would be attacked simultaneously. Command posts, shipyards, fleet bases, communication centers, everything that made the Empire's military machine function, would disappear in minutes. "Sir," Commander O said quietly, "are we really going to do this? Complete destruction of their military capability?" Admiral Ryu turned to look at her. "Commander, do you have children?" "No, sir." "I do. A daughter, about Hana's age. Every time I look at her, I think about that little girl playing in Crystal Gardens. I think about her parents finding her body in the rubble." He looked back at the tactical display. "The Velthrons wanted to make an example of us. They wanted to show the galaxy what happens to species who defy them. Instead, they are going to show the galaxy what happens to anyone who harms human children." On the Vilthron capital world, Emperor Zalthus received his daily reports with growing satisfaction. Human shipping had increased in recent months, indicating economic recovery from the New Sol incident. Several human colonies had requested expanded trade agreements. Even better, There had been no formal protests from the human government about the colony's destruction. The humans learned quickly, he told his advisors. A single demonstration of imperial power was enough to teach them their place. Admiral Vexathul, the one who had ordered Hana's death, stood at the Emperor's side. Your Majesty, intelligence, reports suggest the humans are indeed complying with our territorial claims. Several border worlds have been evacuated without resistance. The Emperor was pleased. The Velthron Empire had ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years, through demonstrations of overwhelming force. Lesser species learned to obey or they were removed. It was simple and effective. Perhaps we should demand tribute from more human worlds, suggested Admiral Vexthul. If they are willing to evacuate planets without resistance, they might be willing to pay for protection. An excellent idea, the Emperor agreed. Draft a demand for tribute from their 10 most prosperous colonies. If they refuse, we will destroy another settlement to remind them of their place. Neither the Emperor nor his admiral noticed the small sensor readings at the edge of their star system. Readings that, if investigated, might have revealed human ships waiting in the darkness. On Earth, President Choi Somin received the final reports from her military commanders. Everything was ready. Every ship was in position. Every weapon was charged. Every target was marked for destruction. Madam President, said General Yoon Minho, we await your orders. President Choi looked at the calendar on her desk. Tomorrow would mark exactly 1 year since Hana's death. It seemed appropriate. Operation Hana's Light will commence tomorrow. At 0800 GMT, she said. Send the signal to all commands. Ma'am, said Admiral Song Hyok. Once we begin, there will be no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. Good, President Choi replied. I do not want them to see us the same way. I want them to remember that humans protect their children. And I want them to understand what happens to anyone who forgets that lesson. The message went out across human space through quantum communication networks. Every ship, every station, every human installation received the same simple signal. For Hana. In the Crystal Gardens Memorial on New Seoul, Park Tae-ho placed fresh flowers beside his daughter's grave. The new crystals had been grown from fragments of the old ones, saved from the destruction. They sang the same soft songs Hana had loved. Tomorrow, little one, he whispered. Tomorrow they pay for what they did to you. The crystal flowers sang in the wind, their voices carrying across the stars to human ships waiting in the darkness. Soon, the galaxy would hear a different kind of music. The sound of human justice, delivered with mathematical precision and overwhelming force. The Velthron Empire had no idea what was coming. They were about to learn that killing a human child was the worst mistake anyone could make. The storm was about to break. At exactly 0800 GMT, the galaxy changed forever. Captain Lee Dong-yun sat in his modified merchant vessel at the edge of the Velthron capital system. His ship looked like a simple cargo hauler, but hidden in its hull were weapons that could unmake reality itself. He watched his countdown timer reach 0 and pressed the firing button. Light years away, 17 Velthron super dreadnoughts simply ceased to exist. One moment they were the pride of the Imperial fleet, massive ships that had conquered 1,000 worlds. The next moment they were clouds of atoms drifting in space. The molecular disassemblers worked perfectly. Across the galaxy, 10,000 similar attacks happened at the same instant. Human ships, hidden for months in asteroid fields and nebulae, revealed themselves just long enough to fire their terrible weapons. Then they vanished back into the darkness, leaving only destruction behind. Admiral Song Hyuk commanded the main assault from his flagship, the UES Hana's Vengeance. The ship was 15 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy planets, but it was not the largest weapon in humanity's arsenal. The largest weapon was their plan. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, first wave successful. Enemy fleet strength reduced by 73%. All primary targets destroyed. Casualties? Admiral Song asked. None, sir. The enemy never saw us coming. On his command screen, Admiral Song watched the Vielthran Empire die. Red symbols representing enemy fleets winked out one by one. Military bases that had stood for centuries dissolved into component atoms. Shipyards that built the tools of conquest became empty space. Sir, said his communications officer, we are receiving surrender signals from multiple systems. The Zentari command is requesting terms. No terms, Admiral Song replied. Continue the operation. The plan was working exactly as designed. The Vaelthrons had built their empire on fear and overwhelming force. When that force was suddenly removed, their control collapsed like a house of cards. On the surface of the Vaelthron capital world, Emperor Zalthis stared at his command screens in disbelief. In 6 hours, his empire had lost most of its military power. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy, all saying the same impossible thing. The humans were winning. How is this possible? He demanded of his advisors. The humans have no fleet. They are traders and farmers. Admiral Vex Thule, pale and shaking, tried to explain what his sensors were telling him. Your Majesty, the human ships appear to be using technology we have never seen. They strike from impossible distances. Their weapons ignore our shields completely. Where did they get such technology? We do not know, Majesty. Our intelligence report suggested they had no advanced military capabilities. The Emperor realized too late that human intelligence reports might not have been entirely accurate. Contact their leaders, he ordered. Offer them terms. Territory, resources, whatever they want. I have tried, Majesty. They will not respond to our communications. On Earth, President Choi So-min did receive the Emperor's messages. She read them, deleted them, and continued watching the battle reports. The Vaelthrons were learning what every human child knew. Actions have consequences. Ma'am, said General Yoon Min-ho, the Galactic Council is demanding an immediate ceasefire. They threaten sanctions against Earth. President Choi laughed, a sound with no humor in it. The Council, the same Council that ignored our requests for justice? Tell them we will consider a ceasefire when the Vaelthron Empire no longer exists. They claim we are committing war crimes, ma'am. War crimes. President Choi stood and walked to her window, where she could see the lights of Earth's great cities. General, we are not targeting civilians. We are not destroying cities. We are eliminating military assets with surgical precision. The only crime here was committed by the Vaelthrons when they murdered a little girl. In space above the Vaelthron, homeworld, the final battle was beginning. The Empire's last fleet, their royal guard, moved to protect their capital. These were their best ships, their most experienced crews, their final hope. They faced Captain Park Minji and her stealth squadron. Targets acquired, reported her weapons officer. 17 battleships, 43 cruisers, 112 destroyers. Range to target? 60,000 kilometers and closing. Captain Park had been promoted 3 times during the operation. She was now Rear Admiral Park, but she still flew her own ship into combat. Some traditions were more important than protocol. All, ships, prepare to decloak, she ordered. Let them see us before they die. Her squadron materialized around the Vaelthron fleet like ghosts becoming real. The enemy ships immediately opened fire, but human shields turned their weapons into light shows. Nothing got through. Fire, Admiral Park said quietly. The Vaelthron Royal Guard ceased to exist. Below them, on the planet's surface, Emperor Zalthis felt his empire end. His fleet was gone. His armies were scattered. His power was broken. A new signal came from the human ships. This time, it was not a weapon. It was a voice. Emperor Zalthis, said Admiral Song Hyok, you will surrender. Yourself and Admiral Vexthul for trial. You have 1 hour. And if I refuse, the Emperor asked. Then we will come down there and get you. The Emperor looked at his advisors. They had no answers. The great Velthron Empire, rulers of the galaxy for 1,000 years, had been destroyed. In a single day by a species they had thought was weak. "How many ships do the humans have left?" he asked his military commander. "Unknown, Majesty. We estimate they have used less than half their fleet." Less than half. The Emperor felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. On the communication channel, Admiral Song's voice continued. "Your time is running out, Emperor. We did not want this war, but you gave us no choice. Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly. Refuse, and we will show you what total war really means." I surrender," the Emperor said. "Admiral. Vex Thul as well." "Yes. Him too." Admiral Vex Thul, the one who had ordered Hana's death, stood pale and shaking. He had killed one human child and thought it would teach the species obedience. Instead, it had taught them rage. "Your Majesty," he whispered, "what have we done?" The Emperor had no answer. Across the galaxy, other alien species watched in shock as the humans completed their victory. The Zephyrian Republic immediately sent messages of apology for old border disputes. The Nexari Collective offered favorable trade agreements. The Kethmoran Federation requested a formal alliance. Everyone wanted to be friends with the humans now. Ambassador Han Seogen addressed the Galactic Council from Earth's Embassy Station. The council chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of species, all wanting to understand how the galaxy's power structure had changed so completely in one day. "Honored delegates," Ambassador Han said, his voice calm and measured. "The human government has a simple message for this body. We did not seek this war. We asked for justice through proper channels. We requested a fair hearing. We were ignored." He paused and looked around the chamber. "When you ignore justice, you get war. When you ignore the law, you get force. When you kill our children, you get total destruction." "Ambassador," said the Altarian representative, "surely the human response was excessive. One death does not justify the destruction of an empire." Ambassador Han's eyes went cold. "One death? You think this was about one death?" He activated a holographic display showing the wreckage of New Sol. "This was about you, all of you, every species in this chamber who saw the murder of an innocent child and did nothing. Every delegate who thought it was not their problem. Every government that decided human children were acceptable casualties for galactic stability." The chamber fell silent. "We have learned something today," Ambassador Han continued. "We have learned that the galaxy does not care about justice. It only cares about power. Very well. We will give you power." He stood and walked toward the exit. "The Velthron Empire is finished. Their war criminals will face trial. Their territory will be redistributed to their former victims. And every species in this galaxy will remember that human children are not acceptable targets." As he reached the door, he turned back one last time. "We hope this is the last lesson we have to teach. But if anyone else decides to test us, they will discover that today was our restraint, not our limit." The council chamber remained silent long after he left. Outside the windows, human ships could be seen patrolling the space lanes. Their presence, a quiet reminder of what happened to those who crossed the line. The galaxy had a new rule: do not harm human children. It was a rule written in the ashes of an empire. 3 months after the war ended, the galaxy was still learning to breathe again. The Velthron Empire existed only in history books now. Their massive fleets were gone, turned to atoms by human weapons. Their territory was being divided among the species they had oppressed for centuries. Their survivors lived in refugee camps, guarded by human soldiers who treated them fairly but watched them carefully. The trials had begun. On the human world of New Geneva, the War Crimes Tribunal convened in a simple courtroom. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic ceremonies, just justice, delivered with the same quiet efficiency that had destroyed an empire. Admiral Vex Thul sat in the defendant's chair, flanked by human guards. He looked smaller now, older, broken by the knowledge of what his simple demonstration had cost his people. Across the room, Park Tae-ho sat in the witness section, holding the crystal flower his daughter had picked on her last day. Judge Park Jin-yo read the charges in a calm, clear voice. Admiral Vex Thul of the former Velthran Empire, you are charged with the murder of 8-year-old Park Hana and the unlawful bombardment of the civilian settlement of New Seoul. How do you plead? The judge asked. Vex Thul looked at Park Tae-ho, at the broken father holding his dead daughter's flower. For a moment, something like understanding crossed the admiral's face. Guilty, he whispered. The trial lasted 3 days, not because the facts were in dispute, but because the humans wanted the galaxy to understand exactly what had happened. Every detail was recorded. Every witness was heard. Every piece of evidence was examined. On the final day, Judge Park delivered the sentence. Admiral Vex Thul, you have been found guilty of murdering a human child. The penalty is death by molecular disassembly. The sentence will be carried out immediately. There was no drama, no last words, no final speeches. Vex Thul was led to another room where a simple device waited. He was given a moment to say goodbye to his family, then he stepped into the chamber, the weapon activated. Admiral Vex Thul ceased to exist. The message was broadcast across the galaxy. This is what happens to those who harm human children. Emperor Zalthis received a different sentence. Life imprisonment, to be served helping rebuild the worlds his empire had destroyed. It was, the humans said, a chance for redemption. Whether he took it or not was up to him. On Earth, President Choi So-min addressed the planet's population for the first time since the war began. The speech was carried to every human world, every station, every ship in space. My fellow humans, she said, we have won a war we never wanted to fight. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will protect its children at any cost. But victory brings responsibility. She paused and looked directly into the camera. We are now the strongest military power in known space. Other species fear us. They send gifts and plead for our friendship. Some ask us to become their protectors. Others worry we will become the next galactic empire. We will not, she continued firmly. We did not fight this war to conquer. We fought it to protect. We will use our strength to ensure that no child, human or alien, ever suffers as Hana suffered. The audience was silent, hanging on every word. But let no one mistake our mercy for weakness. We have shown the galaxy what happens when humans decide to go to war. Pray that we never have to show them again. The speech was well received, both on Earth and throughout human space. But the part that interested the galaxy most came at the end, when President Choi announced the formation of the Child Protection Protocol. Any species that harmed children, any species at all, would face the same fate as the Velthrans. It did, not matter if they were human children or alien children. The protection was universal. Some alien governments protested that this was interference in their internal affairs. Those protests stopped when Ambassador Han Seo-jun released technical specifications for human molecular disassemblers. The documents showed only how the weapons worked in theory, not how to build them. But the message was clear. We trust you with the knowledge that these exist, but not with the power to use them. Consider it a gift, Ambassador Han told the Galactic Council. Now you know what we are capable of. Use that knowledge wisely. Dr. Kang Ji-hoon found himself famous throughout the galaxy as the creator of weapons that could unmake matter itself. Scientists from dozens of species begged to study with him to learn the secrets of molecular disassembly. He turned them all down. Some knowledge is too dangerous to share, he told reporters. The ability to unmake matter could advance science by centuries. It could also end civilization in hours. Until the galaxy proves it can be trusted with such power, humanity will keep it safe. Fleet Admiral Ryu Dongwook oversaw the construction of a new kind of memorial in the new Sol system. It was not a monument to victory or a celebration of human power. It was a simple space station built around a crystal garden where children could play safely. At the center of the garden stood a statue of 8-year-old Park Hana, her arms full of crystal flowers, her face bright with joy. The inscription beneath, it read, "In memory of all the children who should have grown up." The memorial became a pilgrimage site for humans throughout the galaxy. But it also drew visitors from other species, parents who brought their own children to play in the safe gardens and to remember why peace was precious. Captain Park Minji, now Admiral Park, commanded the memorial station's defenses. Her ships patrolled the system constantly, ensuring that this place would always be safe. She had requested the assignment personally. "Someone needs to watch over them," she told her superiors. "Someone needs to make sure it never happens again." On the anniversary of Hana's death, Park Taiho and Lee Nari visited their daughter's memorial. The crystal gardens were full of children from a dozen different species, all playing together under the protection of human ships. "She would have liked this," Nari said, watching an alien child with purple skin chase a human toddler through the singing crystals. Taiho nodded and placed fresh flowers at the base of Hana's statue. "She always wanted to make friends with everyone." A small Zephyrian girl approached them shyly. She could not have been more than 6 years old, about the same age Hana had been when she died. "Are you Hana's parents?" the girl asked in careful, human language. "Yes," Taiho said gently. "We are." The girl held out a crystal flower she had picked. "I brought this for her. My mama told me what happened. She said Hana was very brave." Taiho accepted the flower with tears in his eyes. "Thank you. She would have been honored to receive such a beautiful gift." The girl smiled and ran back to play with the other children. Taiho watched her go, then looked up at the statue of his daughter. "Do you think we did the right thing?" he asked his wife. Nari took his hand. "I think we showed the galaxy that children matter. All children. And I think that is what Hana would have wanted." Above them, human warships moved silently through space, their presence a quiet promise. Never again would a child die simply because someone wanted to make a point. Never again would innocence be sacrificed for politics or power. The galaxy had learned a new rule, written in fire and enforced with weapons that could unmake reality itself. Children are not acceptable targets. Some lessons are written in books. Others are written in blood. This lesson was written in the ashes of an empire that thought it could murder a little girl and face no consequences. The galaxy would remember. In the crystal gardens of the memorial station, children played and laughed while their parents watched with grateful eyes. The crystals sang their ancient songs, melodies of joy and sorrow and hope that carried across the stars. And somewhere in that music, those who listened carefully could hear the echo of a little girl's laughter, the sound of innocence protected and justice served. The war was over. The peace had begun. But the humans would never again be underestimated. They had shown the galaxy their true nature, not conquerors, not empire builders, but guardians, protectors of the innocent, defenders of children. And if anyone ever forgot that lesson, the molecular disassemblers waited patiently in their hidden arsenals, ready to remind the galaxy that some lines should never be crossed. The crystal flowers sang in the artificial breeze, their voices carrying a simple message to any who would listen: harm a human child and face humanity's wrath. It was a promise written in physics and enforced by mathematics. It was a promise that would never be broken.